We are on location in Prince George with Ben Gibson. He is the co-host of Wicked and Grim podcast. Ben, excited to have you on.
I'm excited to be here.
Right.
A little familiar with the podcasting world.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. When I heard you had a podcast, a true crime podcast nonetheless, but a podcast in Prince George, I was like pretty excited about that because there aren't a lot of people in Prince George doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a whole lot. It seems to be a niche market that not too many locals have reached out to, which I'm not sure why. It's lucrative, so.
Yeah, and it's fun to kind of dig up stories and talk about
It
them.
is, definitely is. Although we've avoided local stories a little too close to home. But seeing things that occur worldwide, globally, nationally, all these different levels it's an interesting endeavor, to say the least.
It is, right? I'd like to know how you kind of got started in that and what kind of prompted you to kind of start doing a podcast on crime. And I was just going to say, we got to keep this PG, so let's not get into any...
How deep into this story do you want to go? Because there's some roots that go back.
I would love to hear all the way back.
All the way back. Okay,
Yeah.
well...
If this was your childhood and you always played with the karaoke machine when you were a kid.
Well, audio wasn't my media of choice. I was always more visual, video cameras, videography, that sort of stuff. And with the growth of YouTube, when I kind of got out of high school, you're talking like, I think YouTube came out like 2008, something like that. I always had that fascination with putting videos online, and then the idea of becoming a YouTuber started to grow. Well, that would be a great career. I always had this dream of being a YouTuber, a content creator, but of course, it's a hard stretch, a hard reach, a hard reality for a lot of people to actually chase. So I was working in sawmills. My wife was going to school and earning that good old honest Prince George paycheck, right? But it wasn't a world for me. There was always a one day I'll leave and one day I'll do something I want to do. And hey, being a content creator was that. But there was one day, I think it would have been about early 2019. I was driving home from a night shift from the sawmill, and I was listening to a creator by the name of Gary V. Do you know who Gary V is?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Great guy. He's a little over the top, I'll be honest, but everything he talks about, his meanings and everything, spot on. And I was listening to a keynote speech where he was saying, TikTok is the latest, greatest thing. Why aren't you on there? You can be a creator overnight. As I'm driving, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm heading home. I'm like, okay, well, he's kind of right. Back in the day when Facebook first started, I was like, oh, that's dumb. I'm not going to go on Facebook. And then guess what I did? A couple months later, I was on Facebook. And then same with Instagram. Well, Instagram's taken off, and well, I've already got Facebook. Why do I need another app? Sure enough, eventually I'm on Instagram. And creators have spawned from both platforms. So I thought, okay, well, he's onto something. Maybe I'll do that. I'll just take the dive and I'll go into TikTok. Diving onto TikTok, started doing a bunch of the goofy dances, the little lip syncing jokes, all this kind of corny stuff, but it was fun. Got me out there and creating content. Sure enough, my TikTok took off. So I got, I think at my highest point, about 193,000 followers on TikTok, but I realized I'm chasing the algorithm, I'm chasing the views. I don't want to do that. So what's something that I can do where I create and people chase what I create instead of me chasing to show them what I'm creating? So I thought, well, YouTube is really tough to get into. Podcasting seems to be just as high demand, but there's not near as many creators. So I wanted to do podcasting. Dove into podcasting. First couple weren't the greatest success. I needed a co-host that was reliable. Who's the most reliable person I know? Same person who lives in the house with me, my wife.
Yeah.
I was not a true crime fan. She was. So we kind of married the two ideas. We wanted to spend a little more time together. We were always working anyways. So I'm like, well, if I want to create, you like true crime, and we want to spend more time together, let's do a true crime podcast. And that's pretty much the birth of becoming in the industry and Wicked and Grim.
Wow. Yeah. So initially, you knew you wanted to be a content creator in some way.
Yes.
Interesting. Cool. I kind of fell into it sort of almost by accident. It happened during COVID, and it was it was just producing kind of videos of us kind of going out and doing it, and then it ended up kind of happening for myself, and then opportunities like this came up.
Which is a great way to go too.
Yeah. So it sounds like you actually had that as a goal, and then the opportunities kind of presented itself, which you found through pursuing it, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say the opportunities presented themselves. It was a matter of looking in the right places. Because I had several YouTube channels when I was younger, trying to, become a vlogger or this and that, and trying to do something. None of them took off. What TikTok did was gave me the understanding of creating for views versus creating for myself, or creating something that people want to see rather than creating something I want to see. So I realized I need to reshape all the way I'm making content. I've been in photography and videography and things like that, so I knew my way around cameras. And if I apply all this in an aspect of the same way someone goes to school for 5 years to become a doctor, what if I make content, not for me, but for other people, and if I do that consistently over 5 years, what would happen? After 5 years, a doctor gets out of school, they go and become a doctor. But what if after 5 years I'm done and I am a podcaster? And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Making content for other people is the way to go.
Yes.
Because you watch any of the videos that are out there, Gary Vee, what's he doing? Making content for people, right?
You have to love it though, too. You have to love the kind of content, love the process. If you're just making it strictly for everyone else, it's not going to be a long-term thing. Mm-hmm. You have to make it for other people, but enjoy it too.
Have a passion for what you're producing. And yeah.
Before I was, look at me, look at my day, look what I'm doing. No one cared about me then, right? No one cares about me going and getting coffee in the morning because who am I? Mm-hmm. But if I actually create something around what people want to see, and I'm enjoying it in the process, then you can actually create something that grows. It's like, well, you have a seed, great, but it's not going to grow. You need water, soil, all those things that the seed needs to grow to.
Yeah. You know who Peter McKinnon is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you just mentioned coffee. Like nobody's interested, watching you have coffee, right? How many times have you watched Peter McKinnon make coffee in his videos?
So many. But
right?
that's the difference, though. We now care about Peter McKinnon because of what he offers everybody. He offers the camera knowledge, the adventures and stuff. Now you're invested in him, and you'll watch him make coffee. Yeah. If you were to just show me a random person make coffee, I don't care, right? No one's going to care unless you're really interested in the specific process. It's a how-to video. But that's offering value. So Peter McKinnon offered value, and then you invested in Peter McKinnon himself, and now you'll watch him do almost anything.
Yeah, totally, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even if he is going to make coffee again, it's like, how's he going to do it this time?
Right. Oh, I want to see the cool B-roll stuff he does. I want to see that buttery smooth, that 60 frames a second or whatever, right? And he's known for that, and now you'll watch it, you're invested. Yeah. So you have to build something for people to want to see before they invest in you. And that was kind of the structure is, okay, offer value first. It's an investment. Then you get your returns later.
Yeah, yeah. So then with all that in mind, you found this niche somehow. You found true crime. Did you just try it once just to kind of see what would happen, or what made you kind of go full bore into it?
Again, it was kind of an analytical aspect. I looked at it, saw potential in it. People love true crime. It's a niche that has not gone anywhere in the last hundreds of years. You look at newspapers, headlines, murders, all this happen. So there's always going to be interest in true crime, and it's still a growing niche. So when I analyzed it and approached my wife that she likes true crime, we should do a true crime podcast, I thought, okay, true crime, there's potential for growth. We live in the same house. We can be consistent, right? Mm-hmm. Co-hosts that aren't going to cancel on each other last minute or anything. Yeah. And then finally at the time, there was no other, as far as I could find, no other husband and wife duo doing true crime. So then that offered something unique as well. Mm-hmm. So looking at that, I kind of thought, you know what? This, for all intents and purposes, should grow. It has all the right things to it.
Yeah. And one thing I found listening to your podcast, I thought it was going to be kind of like a narrated story the whole way through. That's kind of what I expected. Mm-hmm. But when I listen to it, I hear you and your wife kind of going back and forth. I'm like, that's what makes this more interesting. You're bringing yourselves into it and your thoughts and stuff, and you're kind of talking about the story as a conversation together rather than just being somebody who's narrating like a headline or a newspaper, right?
Exactly. So that's where people start getting invested in who we are. they start to care about our opinions, just like we cared about Peter McKinnon's coffee.
Yeah.
So they want to hear what our aspect is, what our perspective is. So we'll sit down. I'm usually the one who researches the case. Nicole started doing it more so, but we kind of found our own points that we settle into. So I'll research and tell the story, and Nicole is more the audience voice. So she kind of reacts and, oh my God, I can't believe this happened or that happened. And it's true reactions, they're not scripted. So the idea is you should feel like you're sitting down with friends, having a drink or a conversation like this, something candid, and you go through it all and it unfolds with you sitting there next to us, or that's how you should feel.
Oh, so you're doing the research and she doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense now.
Sometimes I'll give her
Okay.
like a 15, 20 second elevator pitch. I'm like, okay, this is going to blow your mind. This is kind of what's happening, but she doesn't know any of the details. 90% of the time, she doesn't know anything.
Okay.
Yeah, she's going in blind.
Nice. I thought she was like, how is she putting so much emphasis on that? Like, it sounded genuine to me.
It is genuine.
It's genuine. That's
Yeah.
why. Okay, right on. See, I thought you two kind of worked together. You planned out a story. You scripted it. You're like, okay, I want you to get excited at this moment when I say this, and I want you to go.
We're not that organized. Not quite.
Nice. Well, organization's a huge thing with
It is.
the research. Okay, first of all, how do you pick a story? How do you find a topic that you want to go into and decide that this is valid or worth it?
I mean, there's a lot of different avenues. There's, of course, diving down Reddit rabbit holes. Cruising YouTube is another good one. Just Google searches, brutal true crime between 1990 to 2000, something along those lines, or survival story. But we're luckily at a point now where we have such a community supporting us. We get requests on a daily basis from dozens of people. So if we're really lost we're not sure what to do next, we'll dive into those requests. And we have a Patreon community too, and we try and do requests from Patreon as well. So people will say, well, I want to hear this story, and we'll do it as best we can. But we try and do a balance. So it's like if we do a really horrific case, then the next one maybe we'll try and be like a survival story where someone goes through a lot, but they come out of it and they're still alive, they make it. So trying to find that ebb and flow between it all is really important too.
Oh, yeah. You ever investigate a story and it takes you down a rabbit hole of where you've read the headlines, you've read the newspaper articles, and you've got an idea of it, but you feel like maybe you found something else?
I want to say yes, but anytime it's happened, I've realized I'm wrong. In today's world of the internet, information is so much out there, and there's so many web sleuths that are really diving into stories. It's hard to beat these people who they're spending months, years really looking at these cases. And that's just people at home. Then you have investigators who are doing even far more. So to find out that you have made a connection or evidence greater than someone who's doing it professionally, that's their job, is to actually chase this case, it's going to be a rare situation. But it has happened, not to us, but to other podcasters.
Well, I know when I watch documentaries, especially on crimes, you're watching it and you've always got in the back of your head, you're thinking, I bet it was the ship captain or something like that, right?
There's conspiracies for sure. Like on mystery ones, I've definitely got my own conspiracy theories on things that may or may not have happened, or people that I think are prime suspects, but you just can't prove it. Yeah. That's the downside. Yeah. But I do have some of those for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Have you ever felt really uncomfortable digging into a story? Yes,
there's definitely been a few for sure, and it's usually the ones where people they're tortured prolonged. Some of the things that some people have gone through is beyond unimaginable, to say the least, and I feel really bad for those people too.
Yeah. Okay. What are if you're going to research a story and it's one of your favorite ones, what would be one of your favorite ones to kind of dig into?
I like mysteries. My wife hates them.
Like mysteries that are still ongoing mysteries?
Yes, cold cases, open cases, things like that we don't know what happened. And it's not that I like a case that's unsolved. I want a case to be solved. Let's be honest. I want the perpetrator to get caught. I want the victim and their family to have that closure, that sort of stuff. But for my brain, I really like thinking and trying to wrap my head around it. With a mystery, it's open-ended, and there's many possibilities to the end of the story. So I like well, what if this or what if that? So that's really what I like to do, is mysteries and that sort of stuff. It kind of goes along with paranormal too. I like the paranormal side of things as well.
Yeah, there's some paranormal stuff here in Prince George, eh?
There is, yes.
Yeah, I gotta check that out sometime.
There's some interesting stories you should.
Yeah. Okay. Take me through the process. I'd like to hear, like, and this you can take as long as you want.
Okay.
I don't want to push you through it or make you rush through any of this, but take me through the process of like researching a story and then deciding if this is a good fit for you, whether you're going to proceed with it, and then just how you kind of keep digging into it.
Okay. Well, it usually starts on YouTube, seeing what other creators have done for the same story. Not only that, but also different documentaries or news coverage. I sit down and I start listening to those first of all. It gives me a really good understanding of, the introduction to the story, the rising action, and the resolution of the story. So trying to figure out what's happening through the process, what it's all about, that's my first step. And usually that'll tell me if it's a story that I want to cover or not, if it's got, everything I'm looking for. If I'm looking for that graphic case right now because it's been a little bit lighter, then maybe this one's not graphic enough, I need to go something more. Or if I want a survival story and it turns out the person didn't survive, well, clearly that's not going to be the story. So once I've reviewed some other presentations on the case, then it's into Google. It's into Reddit, it's into all the rabbit holes online that I can find. And occasionally, mostly in survivor situations, there's memoirs that have been written, some novels. I have dove into a couple novels written, firsthand accounts from the survivors on their experiences. So it's just diving into whatever I can really find.
Oh, yeah. So if these stories kind of already exist out on YouTube and various places, how do you put your own spin on it?
Well, we can all put our own spin on anything. It's your own opinion, right? So first, it's story and presentation. What I really love is storytelling. That's kind of what I found out with my videography and things like that. I'm not so much about doing video or film, it's telling a story. I also love Dungeons and Dragons for the same aspect. It's storytelling. So telling a story in your perspective and then putting your opinions in there as well. I think this person could have done it, or whatever your perception is, that's what's going to make it unique. I mean, you are you, right? You have your podcast, your opinion, your stories. That's what people want to hear. If you can give them, something that they want to see, they have that, what's the word I'm looking for? Something of value. Then you put your own spin on it. That's what's going to make it so people want to see you again and again.
Oh, yeah. So while you're researching this, you're looking at podcasts that already exist. You're looking at YouTube videos that are out there. You're looking at kind of Reddit pages that cover these topics. What about stuff like there must be public domain police records and stuff like that?
There are some, yes. They're hard to find a lot of the time, but there definitely are some out there. And when you find them, they are a gold mine. There's some where occasionally you can even find autopsy reports and everything. Not everything is always put online. You'd have to go to, directly to the police or their detachment or whatever to request those files. But that's not something we've ever done before. It's usually finding it online is our primary resource.
Yeah. Makes sense to just kind of find what you can just to get the episode together. Otherwise, you could spend a month on one.
That's true. And our turnaround time is relatively short. We do 2 cases a week. Yeah. So waiting for, people to come back with files and everything is not always the most efficient.
Oh, yeah. Is that start to finish 2 a week?
Start to finish 2 a week.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Occasionally I'll have a case or 2 in the back burner where I slowly research it and really dive into. Yeah. But typically it's, researching a case is start to finish about 3 days.
Wow. How do you not cross lines and stuff?
It's kind of that in one ear, out the other mentality. As soon as I'm done with one case, I mentally put it over here and it's on to the next one.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got people who comment online or talk to us and everything about the cases and what's your opinion on this one or that one. I kind of, wait, what's that case again? I got to listen to what we said about it or read my notes again to really refresh my memory. It's honestly probably a coping mechanism with so much dark stories and everything. If they were all living up here all the time, I don't know how I'd function.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about one of the cases that you've looked at and researched and studied and kind of learned a lot about. We got to keep it clean. We got to keep it
For
PG,
sure.
so you can't go into any of the details. But I'd like to just kind of hear you kind of tell a little bit about the story, what happened,
Okay.
and the research that you did that kind of made it all into the
Okay.
finished podcast.
Well, our most recent story was on one of the, well, it's not one of, it is the most prolific serial killer ever in the United States history. His name is Samuel, and he was a serial killer for almost 35 years, and they didn't even know they were looking for him. They didn't know he was a serial killer, and they estimate he has approximately 100 victims that he has killed. Confirmed, off the top of my head, this could be not the most accurate number, but it is either over 50 or over 60 confirmed victims that he has killed. He started in the 70s. He's targeting women who are kind of, they're not living the greatest lives. They're down on their luck or homeless, that sort of stuff. Not many family people that, if someone goes missing, no one's really going to look for them. That sort of person. It's so unfortunate that those people get targeted as much as they do, but he targeted them. And in the 70s, 80s, and even 90s, DNA profiling wasn't so much of a thing. So his DNA he left behind, they couldn't test. And eventually he got to a point where he was old enough, he's just kind of not really killing anymore. The one thing that brought him down was he was arrested for possession of a narcotic, and he skipped out on his recovery program. And so there was a warrant out for his arrest. When they arrested him, I believe it was 2012 finally, standard procedure was, hey, take a DNA sample. And as soon as they took that DNA sample, all of a sudden they connected him to a few murders.
Wow.
Put him behind bars, and he claimed he was innocent for a long time. They only had him for, I believe it was 3 or 5 different murders in jail for. And then all of a sudden, one investigator started asking the right questions and started saying, hey, you know what? We can get you a little bit transferred to another prison that he wanted to go to. And if we do that for you, tell us all these other victims you might have out there, because they suspected. And he agreed, and he just started telling them state by state, city by city, person by person, how many people he killed. And they must have interviewed him, I believe, over 600 hours as he told them about every single person. He wasn't claiming, I killed this many people. He wasn't boasting. He simply just told them one by one, and they tallied it up. And he claimed, I believe, 93 victims. There's about 40 that they have not been able to identify. There's not remains found, or they can't, via DNA or evidence, really connect to them. But there's approximately 60 confirmed, and that is the highest body count in American history for a serial killer.
Wow.
So that's our most recent episode.
Yeah. Oh, that's your most recent one.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hasn't even come out yet. It's coming out as soon as I'm after this. I'm going to go edit it and put it up.
Oh,
So yeah.
I'm going to release this first. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's huge. I'm going to be like a couple weeks with this, so don't worry.
Fair enough.
But I'll link to it. And then that'll be good. Yeah, right on. So, wow. Because one of the things you mentioned earlier was like you want your stories to be somebody who's been caught.
Yes.
And I guess that's a good point to have, is you don't want to be releasing all these podcasts on a serial killer that's out there and have them still be out there and catch wind that you're kind of talking about it and stuff too, right?
We have a bit of a rule. There's nothing locally that we cover for our own safety reasons. Yeah. So it's nothing in northern British Columbia we will cover on our podcast, just strictly for that. We would love to tell those stories, get victims' names out there and everything, but it's just too close to home.
For sure. Well, that kind of makes me wonder now too about a question. With you kind of producing these podcasts, you do generate income from it, right?
Yes.
Do you ever kind of feel bad about, I don't want to say profiting off of these stories, but that's kind of what it is, right?
That's the reality. We are profiting off it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to, sit here and pretend I'm not. I do to a certain extent, and I don't to another extent. What we're trying to really do is really take away fear-mongering from these perpetrators. So if we can go out there and say, hey, you know what, this guy is this name, I'm going to call him a bunch of names. Our podcast is a little on the explicit side at times. So if we can take away that and, you know what, really shame those sort of people for their actions and lift up victims at the same time, you know, I think we may be taking a grim story for sure, but I think we're kind of doing good in the aspect as well. At least that's what I like to think of it as.
Yeah.
And if we're not doing it, someone else is going to do it. News articles and news stations have been doing it for how many years before us? It's no different. It's just a different medium. It's just us in our home rather than a big studio now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you're kind of taking the story and you're telling it in a different way, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as like the storytelling aspect goes, are you, like you were talking about being a content creator before, are you still like really find yourself to be a storyteller?
Oh, definitely. I almost want to make storyteller my official like title. Yeah. I don't know if that sounds very great on a resume or anything if I'm going to apply later to something. I'm a storyteller. Yeah. But that's primarily what I look at myself as is a storyteller. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Telling stories, you know, that's what I do with video, right? Yeah, I'm going to take this, put it all together, and it's a story, right?
That's how I realized I was a storyteller, was video with doing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that still something you do outside of the podcast?
Occasionally, yes. Yeah. It's a selective. I'll do it if it's a project I really want to do, or if it's a friend who really needs the help with something. Then definitely. But it's not something I'm gonna chase for monetary gain per se.
No. What do you like doing outside of the podcast?
For video or just anything?
Well, let's start with video. Just because we mentioned that, and then
I do still really have a place in my heart for vlogging. I really do. I look at like Casey Neistat on YouTube when he was doing the daily vlogs. Yeah. I love that style of video. The run and gun documentary style, I really like that as well. Haven't had a chance to do many of them, but definitely that grittier side of filming, the handheld, the just running and rolling and seeing what happens.
Really? You like that?
I love that.
Would you do more of that if you could? Like if you had an audience for that, would you do more?
Oh, probably.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that style too. Like I really do. And I've tried so hard to make stuff. And it's just like, when you try and compare it to someone like Casey Neistat, you watch it and it looks so simple. It just looks so simple. And then you break it down and try and replicate it and realize, I need to go over here. I need to put the camera on a tripod. I need to point it this way. I need to go across the street. And I need to walk down the sidewalk.
Well, then you need a drone and a GoPro and all these sort of angles and stuff. It builds so fast.
Yeah.
But when it comes together well, it comes together so well. And I love it.
Yeah.
And he's really good at it. Casey Neistat I'm pretty sure he's got the title a vlog father for a reason, because he's done so much for the genre, the niche, and he did it so well. I
found him late on. Like he was making videos years before I ever heard of him for the first time. And I heard about him the first time because he did a video with Peter McKinnon.
Oh yeah.
And the two of them went to Amsterdam, and both of them produced a vlog of the exact same trip, and they're so different and they're so good. But just the fact that he did this with another person made me kind of think, hey, that's something I want to try. And then when my family, we all went on a holiday together, and I vlogged the whole holiday. And nice. It was awesome. Like it was so cool to have the camera there, to talk into it, to get everybody's reaction, get the kids' reaction. Hey, what do you think about that thing over there? And
the best part of it is that unscripted nature, in my opinion. What's your kid going to say? We don't know, right? And then your kid could say something funny and makes the whole video.
Right.
I'd actually love to see that. Do you still have it up on YouTube?
I don't know if it's on YouTube.
Or do you have it anywhere?
I have it on Facebook, yeah.
Send it to me. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, we'll do. Cool. Yeah, definitely. I got one more subscriber coming up. Yeah. We'll take that up to
I didn't say I was going to subscribe. I said I was going to watch.
Oh, right, yeah. It's not public, so.
Gotcha.
But yeah, talking about subscribers, yeah, been not trying to be a content creator myself. I create tons of content for other people. Got like 129 subscribers on YouTube right now, and I've had the channel for like 5 years. But yeah, creating material that people like to watch is so much fun.
It is.
But like I said, going back to the amount of work that goes into it, I imagine with the true crime, like how long are your podcasts usually? 45?
We aim for between 45 to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
That's about an episode. Some are a little bit longer, some are a little bit short, but that's our sweet spot, 45 to 55.
Yeah. So for every minute of that podcast, there's like 10 minutes of research that probably went into that.
Approximately.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, yeah. But you love it.
Oh, I do.
You love it. You enjoy it. Yeah.
I do. Honestly, the best part, like I said, is being able to tell a victim's story. There's cases I've told before where people have commented or messaged us about, I've never heard this story. Thank you so much for sharing it. We've actually had victims' families reach out to us too, thanking us for sharing the story, telling us we did a really good job, and just appreciating that we're keeping their voice alive.
Really?
Yes.
You have, eh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Like what? Oh, that kind of gives me chills thinking about it. But like, what were your thoughts when that happened?
Oh, you put it in really good words. It gives you chills. There's nothing else that I can say that would, it made me feel really good. Like it did. It's a moment you can't put into words. Someone's thanking you for giving their family member who's passed violently a voice again. That's something you can't just replicate.
Yeah.
You can try, and sometimes it might happen, but it's just a situation that it gives you goosebumps.
Yeah. And it must kind of inspire you to kind of look at certain other stories.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
But in that sense as well, we've also had convicted individuals reach out to us as well, asking that we tell their side of the story too. We've had people who are behind bars writing a book on their perspective and ask us to bring them on the podcast to tell their story, and we refuse each time.
You do, eh?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't want to tell their story. They're a convicted individual who murdered and took another life. I don't feel that their voice should be heard.
Oh, okay. So they're definitely guilty people.
Yeah,
They're
convicted.
not telling you they're innocent.
Convicted, behind bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not telling you like, I'm innocent and I've wrongly convicted?
No, we've had people say, you know what, I've convicted of this, and the way that the trial went, I didn't like it, and they used this evidence against me. They weren't legally allowed to. Like just those little things where you can tell they're grasping for straws. And if you say I'm wrongfully convicted, I have proof, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But if you're convicted and say, well, I don't like the way the trial went, and this evidence shouldn't have been used, that evidence was probably what put you behind bars and said that you did it. So I'm not going to help you have a voice. I'd rather give the victim a voice.
Yeah. It's not fair. They took a swab after I didn't show up.
Right, things like that, right? So I understand that there's regulations and procedures in law for a reason, and I get that. But if you're convicted and you're arguing semantics, I don't know if that's something I want to keep going.
I hear you. Yeah, I thought it might be more of a person who is or claiming to be wrongly convicted and wanting, like, I didn't get a chance to tell my story.
No, we haven't had that yet.
You haven't?
No. If we have someone like that, then I would definitely take that, for sure.
So what do you say to someone? Like, you obviously, it must be through email then. It's not like a phone call, right?
It's email. I just don't respond.
You just don't, yeah.
No. Honestly, like we get a lot of emails, a lot of comments. We can't go through them all. And even if we do see it, lots of times it's months later that we'll finally see someone's comment. But yeah, an email like that, I will just either delete it or ignore it. Yeah.
Oh, going through so many emails, that's crazy. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the success of your podcast a little bit, because we should.
What do you want to know?
Let's hear. I want to know like how many episodes you have, how quickly it grew. Let's go back a little bit first, because you had told me you kind of started it very slow, right?
Yes.
You started it very slow, and then there was something that happened partway through that kind of made it spike.
So initially we started with one episode a week. It was every Tuesday. Just the most recent, I think, year and a half ago, we started 2 episodes a week. But initially it was that, hey, we're putting out a piece of content into the world and someone might watch it eventually. Very low views, right? Low listens, I guess, because it's an audio format. So we were getting, 20, 30 downloads, that sort of thing, an episode. And then it started to grow a little more from 20 to 50 to maybe 100 here and there. And then it seems like Spotify, shout out to Spotify, pushed our podcast. And suddenly we had a big spike in listenership. And I thought that was just, a lucky break, but I realized that's actually the industry. That's very equivalent to like going viral, right? You made a good piece of content, and so the platform pushed it. So that has happened a few times over the course of our podcast career, is platforms pushing our content. We get a spike in that listenership, and then it kind of levels off again. So I think it would have been probably within only a few months of us starting the podcast and being very consistent every single Tuesday. We had that first spike on Spotify.
I was going to ask you about the consistency. How do you stay consistent without feeling too repetitive in what you're doing?
I don't know if I have an answer for that. I do feel repetitive at a time.
Yeah.
I do. There's times where I'm like, I feel like I'm telling the same story. I feel like I'm wording things exactly the same, verbs, nouns, all this sort of thing. It's coming out the same. Mm-hmm. But I just need to remember, just because I feel it's the same doesn't mean someone else is going to feel it's the same.
Exactly right.
We might tell the story, and you know what? A reaction might be different. A person's name is different too. Like, this is a different person, a different thing that happened. Just because, two cases are similar doesn't mean that they are the same. It's different. It's a different person. And I got to remember that too. So I'm not regurgitating the same information. I'm putting out there the victim story. I'm putting out there the best I can, a story told. Might be telling the story in a similar way, but not everyone's going to hear every single episode the way I hear it in my head. Just because I think, I used that word last time, they might not hear that same repetitiveness.
Yeah. And in all honesty, they're coming to your channel for a certain level of repetitiveness, right?
To a degree, you're right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. They have an expectation of you that you're going to deliver a certain product, and
yes.
Yeah. I had somebody on last week, and they were talking about that consistency, and that it's not necessarily a bad thing, because you need to get a consistent message out multiple times before somebody absorbs it. Right?
That's true. That's very true, actually. Yeah.
So I imagine for you, if you were telling a crime podcast and then you told maybe one more crime podcast, and then you decided to switch over to like a lifestyle of like a famous person, and then you're talking about cars, people would kind of lose interest. They would, I'm not going to listen this week.
Definitely. So that's kind of why initially when we started the podcast, I wanted to find that niche down. That's why, my wife likes true crime. That could be our niche. It'll be consistent. But yeah, there is repetitiveness within everything, of course. You drive to work, say Monday to Friday, you repeat that same drive every single day, right? But that doesn't mean that the roads might be icy one day and you got to watch out. Things do change within all of it. So you have your routine, the niche, the true crime, but it's just, staying fresh within it as best you can.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Let's talk about Ben, the guy.
The guy.
Yeah.
Let's do
what
it.
makes you? Because I hear, you live in this gigantic house.
Oh, massive. It's a mansion.
Yeah. Let's hear about it.
So this actually kind of goes along with the podcast, funny enough. So when I was working in the sawmill, I had decent income, and it was kind of like the dream everyone goes for. Get the big house, you have the car, and my wife was working a 9 to 5 as well. Well, we don't have kids, and we had a brand new build. It was a double garage. It was 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms. It was way too big for us, and we realized, we're just putting money into a house that we don't use. We're filling it with stuff we don't need. So we came up with the idea of selling it and getting a tiny home. So when you see those tiny home YouTube channels where it's on wheels and everything, we live in one of those. And we both thought, well, if we sell our house, live in a tiny home, maybe we can then actually pursue the jobs we want rather than the jobs we need to pay off the house. So we sold the house, got our tiny home, and took the dive into the career paths. Mm-hmm. She's a professional photographer. I started with videography and then the content creation on the side. Our podcast came right around the same time we did the move into the tiny home, and started growing it to the point where I didn't do videography anymore, which is just recently, and now it's strictly the podcast. So tiny home living is interesting, especially when you're running 2 businesses out of one tiny home.
Yeah. Talk about the home a little bit. I know people, like listeners, are like, "Whoa, what's a tiny home? What does it look like? Like how big is the kitchen? Stuff
For
like
sure.
that."
So it's 8.5 feet wide and 38 feet long. That is the size of our house.
Really?
We have 2 lofts on either side. So one is kind of like just like a storage loft. I keep camera gear up there quite a bit and things like that. And then the other loft is our sleeping loft. So it's our bedroom, basically. Clothes and our bed is up there. The layout is kind of like a living room, goes through into a kitchen, into a bathroom. And at the very end is a closet that we made our office. So it's, if I sit in the office, I can put my fingertips like this and the elbows just touch the wall on either side of me. That's how big,
No way.
the office is. And
No
then it's
kidding.
8.5 feet long that way.
Wow. Wow, that's neat. Yeah, because like, you know, you talk about tiny home and you're like, yeah, it's a tiny home. One of the things I love doing at home is watching those shows where people, they travel to like Europe, they're in Italy, they're like, I want the Italian charm. And they find this little bungalow that they got to walk up these narrow stairs to find their house. And then their head's like scraping the roof and everything. And then, but that's like a necessity that kind of comes for people. But you're choosing that.
We are. So the way we looked at it is we can, have a really cool, awesome big house and jobs we're not too fond of, or we can have a really awesome tiny house and jobs we love. And then eventually those jobs could potentially grow to the point where we just get another home again.
Yeah.
And if not, so be it. We have a tiny home.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you decided to do that because a lot of people aren't doing that. A lot of people are, I need the extravagant house, I need the big truck, I need, a boat. And they're living this lifestyle. It's like a video game where you put skins on stuff, right?
Yes.
And you're just kind of like, it's for everyone else. It's not really for you, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Well, it's a matter of where do you want to grow? Do you want to grow in what you own? That's fine if that's your target. If you want to have the fancy house, the fancy truck, the boat, like those things, if you want that, all the power to you. Mm-hmm. That's totally fine. But I find so many people are living beyond their means, reaching for that when they probably shouldn't be. And we were no different. We were doing the same. I wouldn't say house broke, but we were definitely starting to go into uncomfortable amounts of debt with a house that we didn't need and things we didn't need. Yeah. So the idea of, what if we just take a different lifestyle and really narrow down our square footage and get rid of stuff we don't need? Sure, maybe society looks at it as a negative, but we'll gain positive later. There'll be, again, that investment look. There'll be return on that investment. And there's definitely returns on the investment. We're much happier.
Yeah, definitely. And like the freedom, the just removing that amount of stress that, man, I've got to go into work. I've got to go maybe work some overtime shifts to kind of make up some bills and stuff like that.
If I was still working my job prior to this, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at work on a Friday at, 1:30, almost 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here doing this, and can schedule, do this, have fun, have a conversation, be creative, maybe inspire other people to do a similar thing.
Yeah. Myself too. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's important to kind of find that thing that you love doing. And I know for myself, I do a lot of kind of community oriented stuff. Like right now, the Festival of Trees is happening. And I've spent like 3 days down there at CN Center helping with their promotion for that. But yeah, like it's the difference when you're working and you're producing something, especially if you're like in the sawmill and you're turning boards all day. And at the end of the day, you come home and you go like, what did I really do today? Right. And then there's, on the other hand, you've been able to kind of go out and help with community events and kind of
definitely
do stuff. So,
and again, there's nothing against people working in sawmills. Like I know some great people who work in the sawmills, and that's going to be where they retire, and they're happy with that. I have nothing against that. It's just not for me. I appreciate this flexibility, this creativity, and getting to talk with people like you.
Yeah. And this isn't for everybody either.
That's
there's
true.
A lot of people that would not want to do this. They would rather just, I would rather go sit at a desk and fill out paperwork, right? There's some people that just love doing that. So yeah, you find what you love doing.
But I think that's the important part, is making the conscious choice to do it.
Yeah.
If you're in the sawmill and you're just in the sawmill and that's what you're doing, and you're not exploring what you want to do or making the acceptance that, I like this, I think you should reevaluate.
Yeah.
Just think about what you want to do, and if that's it, great. If you want to do something else, see if you can chase it.
Yeah, for sure. With that being said, what are you going to chase into the future?
Oh, there's a lot of conversations my wife and I have had about this. A lot. We've talked about moving out of Prince George. We talked about staying in Prince George. Talked about expanding the podcast, keeping it small. But the one thing we do know is no matter what we do with our podcast, Wicked and Grim, is it's going to stay independent. That's the biggest, most important thing for us. We're getting to the point now where we've had some contracts with bigger companies, joining their platform, their network and everything. But ownership is always going to 100% stay with us. I think that's the one firm thing we can say.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you kind of move forward, you were saying kind of behind the camera here earlier that you're getting to the point where you need help now. So
yes,
you're doing the research, you're telling the stories, your wife is co-hosting for you, and it's getting to a point where you need outside help a little bit, right?
Yeah. Well, I can't respond to all the messages and emails and everything we get. I've kind of already talked about that. And so having someone who can, maybe even filter through and be like, hey, Ben, here's an important one. Can you respond to this person? Something like that would even be nice. Or maybe finding someone who can go through cases and be like, this is a good case you need to do right now. Or here's a top 3. Go do this, one of these cases. Something to help on that back end. Not only that, but even like finances or things like that. Like having a team would be great. It looks like Nicole is going to be taking a bit more of that role in this coming year. She's going to be slowing down with her photography and a little bit more on the production side. So that's really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, how much the team is going to grow, I really don't know.
Yeah. So at least for the near term, the focus is on the podcast. You're intending to kind of just keep at it. And
Yes, that's as far as I'm concerned. I would love to do it until the day I retire. Is the podcast? Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Have you ever looked into AI to help kind of research stories?
Yes, I have. I thought about it. I've tried it. There's a lot around AI that I like and dislike. It's not the greatest for the environment, or, it steals other people's writings, things like that. So I totally understand where it could benefit, but I'm leery of diving into it. Until I think it's at a full ethical scale, I'm not too sure if I want to. Even if I wanted to go full into it, AI is not the most reliable. I think there's disclaimers when you go onto like some of the AI websites that it's like facts can be wrong, like double check this.
For sure.
And if I'm in, the fact telling world, I need to make sure my facts are right. I don't want to rely on someone whose facts could be wrong.
Yeah. But you can use it to kind of find you stories initially, and you still do your own research.
You can.
But
That's kind of how I've used it in the past, is like, can you give me a list of cases from this area, this timeline, those sort of things. Once in a while I do use it in that aspect, but I try and use it sparingly. I'd rather, go on Patreon and have our community discuss it and them give us a case recommendation, things like that.
That's actually the best way to go, probably. Go by what your viewers or your listeners want to hear, and then just kind of focus on that content.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. They're the people that support you, support them with what they want to hear.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just going to tell you a funny story about AI, because
Sure.
I use it all the time. I'll have my phone sitting beside me, and I'll turn on like the voice mode on ChatGPT, and I'll just put it there. And I'll be working on my computer, and I'll get a thought in my head, and I'll say, like, how do I edit this type of, or create this kind of graphic in DaVinci Resolve? And then it'll respond and just tell me how to do it. And I'm like, I don't even take my hands off the keyboard, and I get the answer and I do it.
That's cool.
And yeah, but then I'll forget that it's on, and it'll just sit on for an hour, right? And then, my wife the other day walked down, and she's like, I don't feel like cooking. Like, you want to order pizza? And then the AI's like, pizza sounds great. It just kind of answers. It just jumps in and carries on the conversation that you're having, right?
That's good. I like that.
But yeah, they're really neat to be able to kind of go back and forth with and give you ideas, because it's only been in maybe the last 3 months that I've really started using it to help me with my work. And to kind of be able to question it and ask it to kind of look something up or tell me if this is true or not. And it goes online, it'll find you the information and kind of tell you. But like you said, it could be wrong. They do hallucinate, they call it.
Yeah.
But if you kind of get as much information as you can together, and then use that to kind of base off your research on it, can probably save you a ton of time.
It probably could. You've got a lot of good points. There's some reservations about it. I don't know. There's there's things that I don't know about it yet that I'm not comfortable not knowing before using it. I've heard things about how it's impacting environments and, it's stealing writings or other artists and this and that. And I don't know how it takes all this information and mashes it together to give you the end result. Mm-hmm. I want to know how it really works before I do that, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
I have nothing against other people doing it. Hey, totally fine. I think it's a great tool. I'm just not there yet, is all.
Yeah, yeah. I know. And if I was talking to somebody else, they might be telling me, oh, you shouldn't be giving your voice to that thing because it's, who knows what it's going to do, right?
Definitely.
But it's true enough. It's true, like, you don't know what's happening with it.
But I have used it a time or two, like for Friday the 13th, for example. I recently did a little image with ChatGPT on like, well, give me an image of my wife and I running away from serial killer for a Friday the 13th Instagram post. Couple little like things like that. I'll use it casually, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah, cool. For plans for the future, do you have any specific stories planned? Any more topics? Or?
No, I fly by the seat of my pants as far as that goes, honestly. We do have some ones that we want to cover in the next year or two. We try and stay away from like really big headliner ones that like everyone's seen, the Netflix documentaries, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Try and steer clear of them because we're not really going to add much value to it. The only value we can really add is the way we tell the story and our own perspective. So we'll get to some of those bigger ones eventually. We try and spread them out so it's not all just kind of clunked in there with everyone else's, if that makes sense. Oh, yeah. So we have a few stories that we'll eventually cover. Like I think I might this year dive into Jack the Ripper finally. Ooh. That's one, for example. But yeah, other than a few odds and ends ones, I usually, when I sit down to research a podcast episode, that same day I'm finding out which one I'm researching.
Oh, yeah. If you did do something that was kind of like Jack the Ripper, would that be like a one-time thing or would that be like a 6-part series or how would you do that?
We've done 2-parters before. I don't know if we've ever done a 3-part case. But Jack the Ripper might be one of those cases that is at least a 2-parter, maybe even potentially a 3.
Yeah. Because some of those stories are huge and there's so much kind of going on. And
definitely. But we try and balance our storytelling with too much of minute, monotonous details. Because you can say, for example, well, this person at this crime scene, there was 6 shotgun shells. So I might just say, well, there were 6 12-gauge shotgun shells found on the ground. Or you can go in and say, well, there was a shotgun shell found over by the fireplace, 2 in the kitchen, right gathered together, which indicates that they were shot at the same time. So it's depending on how you tell the story, it can slow it down or speed it up. We try and make sure that we don't have too slow of storytelling on our show. So some of the details we will speed up, which prevents us from getting to 3-4-parter episodes, and 2-part is generally the longest we've done.
Cool. Do you know, I might get his name wrong, I think it might be Dan Carlin.
Dan Carlin.
He does like hardcore history.
Oh, okay.
He'll tell a historical story. It's all him.
Yep.
It's all him and it's all narrated. So it's not like yours where you and your wife are kind of going back and forth. It's all him just laying out an entire story.
Oh, cool.
But man, he is the guy who will tell you about 2 smoking 12-gauge shotguns smelling of sulfur. He just like goes into the story, but his are like 4 hours long. They're like you put your earbuds in, you close your eyes, you go to sleep, and then wake up at like 4 a.m. when it's over, right? Type of thing.
See, I think if we did that, I do it sometimes. I'll like introductions mostly is where I really get heavy in the story. But if we were to do that in our format where Nicole, my wife, interjects with her opinion, she's the audience voice, I think it'd be too jarring of a change.
True enough, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it would really take you out of the atmosphere, and then all of a sudden you're now in a conversation, and then you'd have to rebuild that all up to, again, jar you out of it. So I think trying to be more casual with it is why we don't get too into, we do get very into details. We don't get too descriptive at times. We very sparingly in choosing with it.
Yeah. That made me wonder because when you first told that, you said shotgun shells.
Yep.
And then you said, when you described it, you said 12-gauge shotgun shells. I guess like accuracy in those stories, you got to make sure you're 100% accurate, eh?
Well, if you have a different gauge shotgun found at a suspect's home versus what it was used at the scene, that tells a lot, right?
Yeah.
So details are important, but you may not need, it's a 12 gauge shotgun shell. One was found standing on end. Well, that standing on end may not be important to the case, might be important to your story, depending on how in depth you're telling it. Those little details, lots of times, we don't necessarily cover because it's more casual the way we tell it.
But you also got to make sure you don't add something in.
That's
Like,
incorrect.
If it doesn't say 12 gauge anywhere and you said 12 gauge, then now you're kind of,
Yeah, there is some creative freedoms. Like if I'm talking about a case that occurred on November 28th and it was -8 that morning, I might take some creative freedom and say it was a frosty morning because I can assume it would be frosty. But other than that, you don't want to take too much liberty in the story. You got to be pretty accurate.
Yeah, I feel like with what you do, you can't really have hardly any at all, eh? Like,
Not really.
Yeah.
But
You-
it's how you tell it. That's where you get the creative flow going. You can tell it from the perspective of the perpetrator. You can tell it from the perspective of the victim. You can tell it from the perspective of the investigators. You can tell it from the perspective of the person who might have found the body. So when you start with a case, where am I starting? Am I starting with the victim when they were, first born, their birthday? Am I starting with the perpetrator when they were first born and maybe the terrible upbringing they went through that really created this monster? Or am I starting with the lights flashing across a dimly lit house on a Sunday morning and it's 4 o'clock and the neighbors phoned in to see a bloody trail up the driveway?
Oh, yeah.
So it's depending on how you paint the picture. The picture can be a dedicated picture. You have to paint a house, the lights, everything, but you can paint it your own way still. Think if Picasso painted a house versus Bob Ross painting a house.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be the same house, but it's going to look different.
Right. Yeah. Their own kind of the way they saw it as well as the way they want to
Yep.
present it.
The facts could be there. Two
Yeah.
windows out front, purple curtains, a brick sidewalk leading up to the home, 2 cars parked in the driveway with one hedge and asphalt road in front.
Yeah.
Could all be the same, but it's going to be portrayed differently.
Yeah. And I guess too, there's like, I just forgot what I was going to say. Okay, let's carry on with something. I had a good point there. It'll come back to me in a bit. But with the accuracy and stuff, I was going to say TV shows that you watch that are like, it says, this is based on a true story.
Yes.
And you never know what they're adding in that not part of the story, right? It could be the part of the story that it is based on is the guy's name is Mike.
Right?
Yeah.
That could be it. But no, with us, it's very much so. It's true crime. It's exactly the details, the investigation. It's all of it. As true as we can be.
And you're trying to tell that true story as true
Yes.
as you can.
Yep.
Yeah. It's nice. As far as the future goes and producing the podcast, if the ultimate dream of yours kind of came true and you woke up one day and there was a Patreon deposit and somebody's like, hey, I just love your podcast. I wanted to leave you a little gift here. And this was enough for you to go in any direction you would go. What would you do?
I don't know if you're going to like my answer. I don't know if I'd do anything different. I'd do exactly what I'm doing now. We already took that dive. We sold our house, got a tiny home, and pursued exactly what we want. So I'm exactly where I want to be. So I don't know if anything would change.
Yeah.
If I had someone who all of a sudden decided to sponsor the podcast, say, I love you guys, here's a bunch of money, I'd probably just put it back into the podcast, into the community, into people who, giving away free merch or something like that for people who supported us. I just keep doing us.
Yeah. Cool.
Sorry, it's not a very exciting answer.
No, I do like that answer. When you started, like, I don't think you're gonna like it. I'm like, he's gonna like get rid of it and he's gonna go move to Aruba and sit on the beach.
No, we're perfectly happy.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of like traveling the world to research stories?
We haven't thought about traveling the world to research stories, but we have thought about traveling to tell stories.
Tell stories.
We've had requests in the past, and there's a potential of us doing it, I don't want to say 2026, but 2027. There's a potential of us traveling to do live read episodes.
Really?
Yes.
That's exciting. That's cool. Yeah.
It would be really interesting. We've done a live episode here in Prince George. I believe it was for our 200th celebration episode. We did it live, recorded it live. Because it was live recorded, the audio was absolutely horrendous. So I don't know if we'd actually release a live episode ever again, but we'd at least do it live. Maybe it'd be like an exclusive story, something that you'll never hear in the podcast, but we'll cover it live and go travel and do it that way.
Oh yeah, that would be really neat. Yeah. Have you ever kind of visited a location of a story that you've told or?
I haven't visited locations of many stories. There's some that I would like to visit. But some of the local ones, I mean, I definitely have visited. Anytime I drive the Highway of Tears, I mean, it gives you a certain feeling, let's say. Really wish that would be something that could be solved. Another one, going to Hogsback Lake with Madison Scott. That's another one I've gone there. But yeah, we haven't really traveled extensively, really, regarding the podcast or anything. We've gone to a couple places, like in Vancouver. There's the Fairmont Hotel with the story of the Lady in Red, the haunting. Been there, and we actually recorded an episode on that story while staying at the hotel, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But not too much, I would say.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, maybe one day you'll get out to like some
I hope so.
place that you've told a story on, or some.
I hope so. I think it will be in the future. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Ben, if people want to get in touch with you, they want to. Well, obviously people know how to get in touch with you if you're getting so many emails that you can't even read them all. But if people want to check out your podcast, where can they find it?
We're on all audio platforms pretty much. If you can find a podcast, if you listen to any podcast on an audio platform, we'll be there, like Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, like all those. We even have just a website where you can listen to our podcast. It's wickedandgrim.com. And give us a Google. You'll find it.
And you're releasing new episodes every week. Episodes
every Tuesday and Friday.
Tuesday and Friday, right on. Well, Ben, amazing conversation, amazing chat.
Thanks for having me
here.
here.
We can do this, and good luck in the future.
Appreciate it, and good luck with this too. I'm pretty sure you're going to talk to some pretty awesome people.
Yeah, on your 300th episode, let's do this again.
Oh, I'm beyond that. I'm almost at 400.
Oh, okay. Well, on 400, let's do it again.
Sounds good.
Let's do it live.
There we go.
All right. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, no problem.